Go ahead and move on to past item 2 to item 3. Alan, would you like to come forward and have, and Michael, if you have additional information? How are you today?
Good.
You get some sleep this weekend?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. I hope everybody got some rest this weekend. Just to give you an update, I addressed the county commission this morning to give an update also. Thursday morning, several of us woke up to a lot of water, as we all know. We had a band of rain that stretched from Clinton Lake, basically, for those of you that know where Lone Star is, up by, stretched down through Centropolis into Ottawa and south of Ottawa, starting to taper off at John Brown Road. The rain, we had an event that was a little over 12 hours, but the large amount of rain was from midnight to 6 a.m. We had water rescues that started occurring. The city Public Works was out even earlier than that. I did some checking. We were releasing water. I say we. The Corps of Engineers was releasing water from Melbourne and Pomona Lakes because of all the rains we've had prior to the event last week. And they were there was a total of 3,000 cubic feet per second, 1,500 from each lake being released. That was not shut off until 7:30 Thursday morning. And the prediction for the rain was that we received was about twice of what was predicted. At 6:30 Thursday morning, we had 8.5 inches recorded at the water plant here in Ottawa. So from midnight till 6 a.m., we received close to 7 or 8 inches just in Ottawa.
6 hours.
Yeah. Now, what also caused problems is this rain come down the 8 Mile Creek, which runs basically from Lone Star area through Centropolis into the river just to the west of Ottawa. At 1 a.m. Thursday morning, the river levels were at 13 feet here in Ottawa. At, what was it, like 8 a.m., 7 or 8 a.m., it was at 24 feet, to give you an idea as to how fast the river itself came up. We crested a little over 35 feet Thursday afternoon.
How tall is, or how high up is the decking of the bridge?
Decking of the bridge, it goes over the top of the north end of the bridge at approximately 35.84 feet.
35.84, and we were at how high?
35.
Okay.
It just didn't quite get over the bridge. Right.
Yes. But it was up against the bottom and debris was starting to collect on the bridge, and that starts at about, what, 33, 34 feet?
33, about 32, 33. At 33 is where we close the gates
Okay.
to keep people off the bridge.
We activated the County Emergency Operations Center at 6:30 Thursday morning, and it was operational until Friday evening. We did have meetings coordinating everything with the city and county. Starting that morning, we had a situational update from everybody, and water rescues continued until around 11 or 12 Thursday morning. Then the big
Where
Michael.
were the bulk of those rescues?
Well, we had some here in town. Chief Matthias can address that a little better. He was the one that was coordinating all of them throughout the county for us.
Okay.
I believe we had a couple here in town. We had several out north of town. There was 3 early in the morning up by Centropolis.
So north and west where the rain was.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Again, the county roads in the north central part of the county were destroyed for the 4th or 5th time since 1st of May. The city streets, when I came into town, you couldn't find a curb anywhere. There was that much water running down the streets. It was really an event that, well, I've worked for the county for 34 years, and I haven't over 68 in Maine before. I can think of 2 other times, one this year that was just up for a few hours. But nothing as bad as what this one happened to get to. We did have additional pumps brought in. The city requested that through our Emergency Operations Center. And we had Corps of Engineers and 2 counties. Did you get one out of Douglas County?
Yes.
So 3 counties furnished pumps for us. And then our county, Franklin County's pump was put into place too, plus the pumps that the city has.
How large are the discharge on those mobile pumps? Are they?
All of them, but the core pump, the pumps that we got from the Corps were 6-inch pumps.
6 inch?
The
And our
first-
static pumps are how big, the discharge on them?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
Can't answer that, but I can tell you we also have an 8-inch, I think it's an 8-inch Gator pump.
Okay.
We got a 8-inch pump from the county
Yep.
that we employed right away. Both those 2 were employed right away.
Okay.
But the three pumps that we got from the Corps, one was a 10-inch and 2 were 12-inch. All 3 of those were Gator pumps.
Okay.
And of course, as soon as we got those in, that's what made the big difference real quick in
Okay.
getting rid of the water.
Yeah.
But, those didn't get here until
Thursday afternoon.
late Thursday afternoon.
Do our pumps turn on with floats, or do we have to manually turn them on?
They've got 2 ways that they can turn on. I don't know if they're floats or what, and I apologize for that, but we do have an auto and we do have a manual. As soon as the river started rising to where it was getting close to the gate outlets on each of the pumps, all 3 of those gate outlets were closed and the pumps were switched to manual. Or, excuse me, were switched to auto.
Okay.
Switched to auto. And all 3 of those pumps on the levee came on as they were supposed to, when they were supposed to. And those pumps continued until Friday evening, when the water receded far enough to where we could open those gates back up and let.
So the rumors that are floating around there about people not being on site and stuff are false?
That
Somebody made
is
them up?
absolutely untrue.
Okay.
Absolutely untrue. Our first guy came in Wednesday night around 10:30. We had 2 more come in around midnight. And when I got here, I think it was, excuse me, I can't,
Sure.
my memory's not that great, but I got here somewhere between 3:30 and 4:15.
Okay.
And I started trying to find pumps at that time.
Every time the river comes up, I hear the rumor that the city did not close the outlets, and that was absolutely false as well.
Absolutely false.
Okay.
Absolutely false.
Okay.
Where do we put the pumps that come in? I mean, have we have sump pits or?
Well, the Gator pumps that come in, yes, at each one of the outlet, or each one of the pump houses. We've got one on the north side. There's a small holding pond there on the east side of the alleyway back there that's commonly called Tecumseh, because it marries up with Tecumseh and goes back around. So we're able to back up, put Gator pumps in there. We could have put any of these 6-inch pumps that we got, but they're more of they were all trailer mounted pumps. And then Willow Springs at the north end of, or not Willow Springs, but the Willow pump station, where Willow Street goes across First Street, where you can cross the trail down in that bottom, there's another pump station on the levee. We had 3 pumps in that. One of those was I believe a 10 or a 12-inch, I don't believe, I know, was one of the pumps that we got from the Corps. And then over at Skunk Run, where Skunk Run goes underneath meets up with the levee, we had the county's pump there and 3 6-inch pumps over there. And then once we got the north side pump down, we moved one of those Gator pumps over to Willow, and we moved the other one over to Skunk Run. And then so we were able to have, well, actually, we had our Gator pump on the north side too. So we took our Gator pump and one of the Corps corrugator pumps and moved them over to Skunk Run, as well as the 3 6-inch pumps that we got from between Johnson County and Leavenworth. And then the county's big pump that we got from them. So we had all those pumps running nonstop, you know, once.
And those, at each of the 3 basins, so we had
Yes.
Possum Run, Skunk Run, and then, what's that called?
Willow.
Good.
Yes.
There's about 15 pumps running, if I
Okay.
figured things up
Counting
in my head,
Yeah, counting the levee pumps, that's
It's
about
the-
right.
It's the fact that you're looking at it, I would consider it a flash flood event, but you're looking at a 500 to 1,000 year event, is what you're
No,
looking
yeah.
at.
Does the lift station down on the north side by the levee have anything to do with eliminating that overflow of stormwater?
No.
Okay, so it being off because the transformer was had been damaged, but there was a generator brought in to run that.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with getting rid of any stormwater.
Nope.
Because that's
just
another-
sanitary sewer.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that was out there, because that's another one of the rumors that I've heard, is that that pump wasn't working because of that transformer, and I've explained it to them a couple of times. We're talking about two different things here, sanitary sewer and stormwater.
Two completely different
Okay.
systems.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess we tested the Second Street stormwater discharge by the police station. That worked okay, or everything good right there?
Actually, Ash Street was not a river through that.
For the
That
first
new-
time?
For the first time.
How about 15th Street?
15th Street, we did still have a little bit of issue up there, but nothing like it would have been had we not done that project.
Good test.
It was. It was.
We did have a few homes that were affected on the east side along the Skunk Run over between, Second and Third Street, Poplar area. It got up into the basements of some of those homes. American Red Cross was over there Thursday, talking with those folks. The appraiser's office today was out checking with all the homes. We believe we've got 8 or 10 homes that were affected in Ottawa and up in Centropolis area. The east side of Centropolis, where the 8 Mile comes through there, had 2 or 3 homes that also got water in them. And I think they did a water rescue out of a home up in that area also. And I believe there was 1 or 2 homes or families here in town that were evacuated out of their home by the fire department.
And it's my understanding that Lawrence had a lot of problems with the storm as well.
Yes, it was up in the Lone Star area for Ottawa, or
For Douglas
County,
County.
yes.
But the Lawrence itself had some flooding, particularly north of the river up there, so. Okay. And I kind of interrupted you there. Did you have some more that you wanted to
Well,
tell it?
The one thing that I just want to let you know is that we're under a federal declaration that started April the 28th. I found out today, I'd been informed Friday verbally, but I found out today in writing that the closing date for that was July 12th. So we are not under a federal disaster declaration at this time. And out of that, there is 3 counties that I'm aware of in the state that received damage from this storm. Our county, Douglas County, and Dickinson County the next day had storm systems similar to ours that caused issues in their county. With that being said, I'm pretty sure that our county would meet the threshold as a county to qualify. I don't know about Douglas County. Their threshold is a lot higher because it's population-based than ours, and Dickinson County. It takes $4.3 million at the state level for the state to request a federal declaration. And in talking with the people at the Kansas Division of Emergency Management this morning, I don't believe we're going to reach that. So the cost of this event that occurred last week will be on the city and county expenses.
Yes, sir.
And how about the stoplight? I saw it's blinking red today. What's the status or future for that?
I'll answer it as best I can. Dennis can jump in if I need him to. they had a contractor come in today, the control panel for those traffic lights was completely submerged. So they were able to get the lights flashing red all 4 ways, so we opened the intersection. The downside to that is that control box is, everything in that control box needs to be replaced. It's going to take us about 30 days to get that in, and then get somebody in here to replace it. So that intersection will be flashing red for well over a month.
And that meets all the criteria for the Kansas Department of Transportation.
Yeah, as long as they're, from talking to Bruce, as long as it's controlled, which flashing red in all 4 directions, it is still a controlled intersection.
So all the barricades will be removed then?
They should all be gone.
They're down.
They
Oh,
should
I
all
didn't
be
know,
gone by now.
I noticed the ones our direction were still
Yeah.
on.
No,
They're down now.
they should all
Okay.
be gone now. That intersection should be completely open.
Just before coming in here, they were removing the message board at 7th Street.
It's
Also,
gone.
I got the call.
Okay. Any other questions for these gentlemen?
We do have a meeting Thursday with the city and county. I've asked for, at the request of Richard, a after-action review of our response. What I want to do is look at what went right and what we need to improve on. There's always places we can improve, and that's what I want to capture so that we can,
I'll be at that meeting as well.
so that we can get better.
How do they calculate it? You said 4.5 million before it's declared a disaster
In the state, yes.
in the state, 4.5 million. You'd think that would, and that's just, would that count personal property?
No.
It's just
That
city
is
and county
uninsured
expense.
critical infrastructure. So like the traffic lights that you're talking about, that cost would be, whatever the cost for that repair would be.
Gonna be
An expense.
chunk.
All the roads that were damaged.
A city building. So it's public infrastructure or, okay, so the personal, losses would not count.
Personal losses doesn't come into play.
Even if you have a city or a county building that's insured, if it's insured, none of that counts. It would be the deductible on there. Bridges, roads, the fact that we had all these pumps brought in. There's an hourly cost to all of those could be counted. Up to this event, when we were under the declaration, where the Public Works has a flood management plan and a flood response plan. Anytime we've closed the gates, I think this was the 3rd time this year. The other 2 times was under the declaration, and they have to walk the levees and have people monitoring those levees 24 hours a day. That time counts towards recurable cost.
Okay. Well, thank goodness we didn't meet that threshold. But it'd be nice for the reimbursement if we did.
Thanks for the report.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'm going to give the bulk of my time to Public Works Director Mike Hafley, who's going to give you some additional information to the discussion we had on Monday about flooding.
Good evening, Commissioners. Okay. Richard asked me to kind of give another synopsis of the events that began on July 31st, Wednesday night, when it started raining. What I have up here is a map. It doesn't quite capture everything. I can't remember where the pointer is. But this is the north side of town, down at the bottom of the bottom lower left-hand part of the screen where all those little yellow dots are, or little yellow squares are. That is the Main Street intersection. Just behind that, Richard, do you know which button to push for the pointer?
Did we first turn it on?
Oh. that helps. Ah, okay. Okay. All right, so this area here is the Main Street intersection, right here. And right there approximately is the north pump station that is stationary to the levee. That's that little gray building out there. That pump station has two 18-inch pumps in it. Now, the pumps on that building there were set to automatic because we've had the sluice gates closed on all three of our pump stations since the spring due to the flooding we had in the spring, and the lakes filled up, both Melbourne and Pomona filled up, and have been letting water out since that time. So we've had the sluice gates on all three of our pump stations closed and all of the pumps set to automatic. This map, I'm going to back up here. This map, Wilson is up here. I couldn't quite capture everything. I apologize, but I'm without a GIS tech right now. But Wilson's up here. This is Co-op. This is the Main Street intersection. Everything on this map flows down to this lift station. Or, excuse me, pump station, not lift station. It's a pump station. Lift station is sanitary. So everything on that map right there flows to this holding pond right here behind. And to give another idea, this is Tecumseh Street. So Three Guys Liquor, Dodd's Memorial, Dollar General is all right here in this area. So we have a holding pond right here. This area right here also acts as a holding pond. This is Possum Run. This is all an open channel, and all these little yellow dots with the yellow lines are storm sewer systems that all flow over to this one area. So I put this up here to kind of give you an idea of how much water and where it comes from that goes to that pump station. That's really the only slide I have, so if we can get the light. I'll kind of run through
Mike,
the events
does
that
that water
happen.
have to go over the dikes, or does it go through the dikes
It
into
goes
the water
through.
that's already on the other side?
It's pumped through. There's a drainage tunnel through the levee at all three stations, but at the point where the river gets up past, I believe it's past 17 feet, we have to close the gates so that the river water won't back up into the city. And like I said, I want to say that again, we've had those gates closed since the spring, because that water has just fluctuated too much, and we've had those gates closed and the pumps have been set to automatic.
And Mike, when those pumps activate, I mean, the water flows to the river, there's not backup flow
They
of
are
any
pumped,
kind?
yes, that's correct. They're pumped directly to the river. Regardless as to what level that river is, those pumps have enough force to push it out to the river. You can, in fact, if you stand on the levee behind each one of those pump stations, you can see the water boiling up. When you, right behind those pump stations, you see the swirls and how the water's coming up right there. That's those pump stations pumping water through the levee. So to kind of back up here, I try to put everything in chronological order, so it may not have made it. So, but once again, it started raining somewhere between 9 and 10 Wednesday night. By 10:42, we had our first employee, your first employee, was clocked in, and his sole purpose at that point was to go around to all three pump stations, making sure that those pumps were on, running, and doing what they were supposed to do. By midnight, we had an additional 2 employees come in, and they were helping with that because the water was starting to rise quick, as we know it did. I also want to kind of back up here and point out that we ended up with roughly 10 inches of rain in about 6 hours. That equates to a 500-year flood, according to the chart that that FEMA has in place right now. Now, whether they change that chart due to changing weather patterns, I don't know if that's coming or not, but according to what they have right now, this was over a 500-year flood.
So, Mike, and just, I Googled it earlier,
Uh-huh.
and Ottawa, on average, receives 40 inches of rainfall in a year.
Yes.
So we got a quarter of the amount of rainfall that we get in an entire year within a 6-hour period.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
sir. You bet. Going back, I started reaching out, trying to find additional pumps by, at around 4 a.m. We were able to get the county has an 8-inch pump, that's an 8-inch, yeah, I said that, 8-inch pump that we were able to get and had it in place by 5 a.m. over at Skunk Run. We had already put our 10-inch gator pump at the north pump station. The 8-inch pump that we got from the county, we put it in place over at the end of Skunk Run where it goes through the levee. So at Skunk Run, those two pumps are also 18-inch that were also working as they were supposed to. All in total, we ended up receiving 10 pumps from other communities or other government entities. The biggest pumps were the ones we got from the Corps. Those were gator pumps. Those are the ones that are tied to the back end of the tractor that we backed. So when you see the tractor backed right up to the water, or maybe the back wheels in the water a little bit, those are gator pumps, and they're operated off the PTO of the tractor. So we had the 3 pumps that we got from the Corps were, one was a 10-inch and 2 of them were 12-inch pumps. And we tried to dispatch, we put all of those in place. Now, I said we got 10 pumps in total from other entities, but it took a while to get them here. And as they came in, your employees met those other entities here at City Hall as fast as they could. And I want to be 100% honest, I think they were here every time within 5 minutes to meet them and get those put in place. The entities that brought the pumps, with the exception of the Corps, the other entities that brought those pumps helped us set them up to make sure that we knew how to run them, knew how to operate them, knew how to take care of them, and made sure that they were working properly. I covered all that. Something else that I also want to point out, Melbourne and Pomona Lakes did not did not cut their discharge rates down until after the rain stopped. And it takes about 24 hours once they start releasing water. It takes about 24 hours for that water to get here. So when they close the gates, it takes about that long for the evidence to show here as well. So, so take the amount of rain we got coupled with the water that the lakes were releasing, that's what caused some of the issues. At approximately 2 p.m., the river reached a height of 33 feet, which is when we closed the Main Street gates. And as you all know, we left those gates closed over the weekend because the traffic signals were not working due to the flood issue at the Main Street intersection. But once we were able to get the lights back up to the condition that they're in, which is flashing four-way red in all 4 directions, we worked with KDOT, and they agreed it was safe to open everything back up to through traffic. So that's what we did.
And KDOT was involved because it's a state highway.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's correct. That's correct. But one thing I want to end with, actually I want to end with 2 things. I want to assure you that your employees were doing what they were supposed to be doing when they were supposed to be there. That's important to highlight. You've got a great group of employees that work for this city. They all work together during this event, and I couldn't be more proud of them, and I hope you are too. The last thing I want to take and mention here is the help we got from the County Emergency Management Department. I've worked for other communities where that department comes in and tries to take over the situation, and that's not their job. Their job is to be a resource. I really commend the county for the way they came in, they helped, they asked what we needed, they held meetings, to update us on the weather situation, and those meetings were also with other entities, not just the city. We had the county, we had KDOT, we had fire, police, everybody was there working together. So I just wanted to point that out.
Michael, Dad, a quick
Subject to
question
question.
too. Now, we mentioned there's 3 pumps along the levee system. So we mentioned Skunk Run, which is behind the Don Woodward Center, right?
Yes, quite a ways behind.
And then this one we talked about here, what do we call this one? This is-
That's the north pump station. Sometimes it's called the Pence
Okay.
pump station, but for me, I call it the north one.
North, and then the third one is,
The third one is on the south side of the levee where Willow Street ends, essentially. So as you go over the bypass
Okay.
bridge and you look down, that little gray building down there, that's the Willow Street pump
you
station.
didn't address that one. That one is operational as
That,
well.
all 3 pump stations were working as they were supposed to.
Automatic, okay.
Yes.
And each pump station has an 18-inch pump, 2 18-inch pumps in each station.
Actually, the North Station and Skunk Run have 18-inch. The Willow Station has 12-inch pumps.
Okay.
Are there grates over the pumps, like debris? Could they slow up the flow of water if the logs or something would lodge in those as they float in?
There could be, but
You haven't seen that?
we haven't seen that. Realize that the intake for those pumps is clear down at the bottom and debris floats.
Okay.
So,
Obviously, it would have been taken twice as many pumps maybe to keep any flooding from happening, or is there any way to estimate? I mean, in going forward, is it practical fiscally to install other more pumps to handle a 500 or Century type?
I think it's important that we look at purchasing additional pumps, not stationary pumps like the pump stations that are already on the levee that came when the levee, that were installed when the levee was built. But I think it's important that we,
Have some pumps available,
yes,
even if they were cooperative, maybe with other cities or something.
yeah.
Good. City manager.
So that's an important question, Commissioner Wygant, which we're going to take a look at further. And we don't have the data yet that would answer that question for you. And that's going to take some discussions with likely an independent engineer who's familiar with this, the Corps and FEMA. And if you think about this, the weather patterns have changed in 60 years. I'm making that statement, they've changed. So what we need to do is find somebody who can look at those metrics again and give us what that means to us. When, what event do we plan for? Because when they built the levee and when they put those pumps in, there was a certain event that they were prepared to, a maximum event. And somebody made the decision that if you put money in for over that event, then you were just kind of, because of the low probability, that was not money well spent. So we will have an answer to that question at some point. It just is not tonight.
But it has been since 1951 that happened.
And really, it's kind of a misnomer when you talk about a 100-year flood or a 500-year flood. We had a flood. Okay, we're safe. We can wait another 100 years before it happens again. That's not the case. A 100-year flood means that there is a 1% chance of flooding. A 500-year flood means that there is a 0.5% chance of flooding. And so, just to keep that in perspective as well.